Today in Jamaica's parliament, things got intense when the Minister of National Security, Horace Chang, defended the government's crime strategy after tough questions from opposition MP Fitz Jackson. The minister says Jamaica is seeing a major drop in crime, but the opposition says numbers alone don't equal safety. And then the discussion shifted into one of the most controversial issues in Jamaica right now: police fatal shootings. Let's break down what happened.
Hello, good afternoon again. To be back in my substantial post. Now, first of all, the subcommittee. All right, thank you. Seem to hear me now. No, I didn't see my on. Thank you. All right, that's better now. Thank you. First time you just indicate to the chairman of the House that we considered the defense budget and approved it, but bear in mind that it had already been viewed and approved on the heads of the OPM. But we looked through the details and had it completed. Let me thank the members who participated. Now it is time to look at the Ministry of National Security and Peace, which is the new branch. Right? Essentially an attempt to ensure that we can adopt some programs to ensure the communities benefit from the peace dividend. But let me first introduce the team present this evening. To my left is my Minister of State, Ms. Juliet Cuthbert-Flynn, who does a lot of work. And she is an Olympian. And to my right is the finest public servant and best permanent secretary in the government service, Ambassador Alice Stone Roof. you agree? You agree in the public sector? If I say that. All right. Supported by Commissioner of Police, Dr. Kevin Blake, who is again one of the finest Commissioner of Police, some of the best in it. Mr. Garth Williams from the Chief Executive of PICO, Brigadier Rod Mason, the Commissioner of Corrections, Mr. Delroy Simpson, our Chief Technical Director, one of our Chief Technical Directors, and he handles a lot of the procurement issues and has evolved. We have been there some time, he does an excellent job. So we'll see for some members who are asking of some projects, Mr. Simpson seems to have a good way of getting my projects to PIAB, although it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. Mr. Ron Richards may be here from the Senior Director of MOCA. I'm not sure if he came in. Mr. Pinnock, Principal Financial Officer. Mr. Coon, Devon Cohen, Senior Director, Corporate and Special Service for the JCF. Ms. Roseanne Phillips, our Principal Finance Officer in the Ministry of National Security, so she takes a global look at everything in money. Ms. Nicola Wittick, Director of Finance and Accounts, MOCA, and Ms. Clover Roberts, Deputy Chief Executive Officer, PICA. I think that's the team that's here. Did I leave anyone off? Yes? No. All right. The chairman. Crime and violence remains a complex challenge that demands coordinated multi-agency response. In this regard, the Ministry of National Security and Peace remains steadfast in its commitment, actively forging partnerships with citizenry, private sector, and key government entities. Our comprehensive crime-fighting strategies are producing significant and measurable results which reveal a sustained downward trend in violent crime as evidenced through the recorded statistics. Recent national crime trends indicate significant improvement in Jamaica's public safety and landscape, with a 43% reduction in murders, a 32% reduction in shooting, and a 17% reduction in overall criminal activity. These outcomes reflect the cumulative impact of multi-sectoral commitment to social investment, sustained investment leading to enhanced law enforcement capabilities, policy legislative reform, and operational improvements within the security forces. The passage of Hurricane Melissa has introduced new and evolving risks to Jamaica's public safety and crime environment, with potential medium to long-term implications for crime patterns and community stability. In this context, continued investments are paramount in strengthening the national security infrastructure, including preserving recent crime reduction gains. With a new peace mandate, the ministry, through structural private sector partnerships, will employ improved and re-engineered strategies to foster social cohesion, reconciliation, and trust between communities and the state, and not only the individual but the community levels. The chairman and members, the substantial investments we have made to reinforce our security apparatus, enhance local law enforcement capabilities, improve border control, and strengthen our crime prevention and rehabilitation programs are a testament to the commitment of the government and the relentless efforts of our security forces. The numbers are clear, our approach is working, the continued decline in murders and major crimes is no coincidence. These results are the direct outcome of the strategic, data-driven, and targeted initiatives spearheaded by the ministry. The broad outline is summarized for you. A budget of $126.584 billion has been allocated to financial year 26-27. It represents a 28.6% reduction, which is largely as a result of the movement of the JDF to the Ministry of Defense. The recurrent budget is $123.913 billion, and the capital budget $2.67 billion. This provision accounts for Ministry of National Security $9.2 billion, capital budget $2.67, Police Department $90.077 billion. Reflecting our continued commitment to ensure the Police Department as our primary law enforcement agency is in fact funded. Department of Correctional Services $16.37 billion. Passport Immigration Agency $2.3 going through a transformation phase. Institute of Forensic Science and Legal Medicine $1.8 billion. A major organized crime and anti-corruption agency $4.12 billion. The strategic alignment and focus of the ministry in keeping with the government medium-term strategic priorities for 26-27 intend to continue efforts geared at improving city security under the established three-board policy initiative, improve public order and improve public safety. In terms of public order, there are a number of capital projects in place which will continue. There is the construction of the Westmoreland Divisional Headquarters, for which there are $800 million reserved this year. It should be completed by the end of the calendar year, I think, which means December. There's construction of St. Catherine North Divisional Headquarters of $970 million, and that will be more completion in next year, financial year. $900 million for the construction of the JCF Specialized Operation West Facility, which we should go to procurement, which means we have been through all the PIAB processes and should go to contract in the first quarter of this financial year. That's designed not only to provide a facility for the special operations team in the West, but the government currently pays huge sums of money to various places for rental as a result of the lack of space for the police officers who is required in the Western region. It's not just the high crime rate. The population of Jamaica has increased significantly in the West, and the economy of the country has shifted significantly. If we look at our historical evolution, when corporate area and the Southern Plains were the dominant economic activity, we now have tourism, and airport, which is one of the largest airports in the Caribbean, hotel rooms, other outsourcing services. So there's need for strong policing in that region. And we have had significant also increase in criminal activity, which we have been able to tackle, but we need permanent police presence. Improve public safety. There's a grant contribution, international Caribbean agencies, $200 million. Modernize technology, $1 billion for Jamaica Eye, continued expansion. $273 million for the communication network to ensure it remains resilient and reliable. $2.169 billion for what we have described as the C5 Security Business Solution Center, command, control, communication, computers, and counterintelligence. $179 million for security strengthening, which deals with maintenance of our electronic infrastructure, our cyber infrastructure in the police force. Social investment will continue to receive direct support, but we have a lot of significant partner support as well. But direct financial support from the government, $111 million for youth and community risk reduction initiatives, $36 million through the Peace Management Initiative West, $20 million in Crime Stop, 2.4 for what we call involuntary returning migrants, which means the Jamaicans who are sent home from the United States and we have to settle them. They tend to get to their homes, but it costs. 61 million social investment via public-private partnership with Project STAR and Multicare Youth Foundation. Those are two of our leading private sector initiatives who we support as they work with the established policy and agencies of government. Operational demands in terms of witness protection, maintenance of vehicles, and learning and development training programs as part of our continued intervention. So we acknowledge the critical need to realize a safe and secure society, and to this end we'll continue the efforts to strengthen the legislative framework, which we have a number of pieces of legislation we announced in the Crown, in the Governor General's in the opening presentation statement. Improve security infrastructure, expand social investment, which is essentially we will scale it up to ensure that there is a peace dividend, because many of these communities, the murder rate goes down, the gang dissipate. We have to ensure we can now offer the young adults an alternative lifestyle that will allow them to achieve some of their dreams. The effective utilization of available resources remains a cornerstone of this effort. I now defer to you, Chairman, and esteemed members for your questions, observations, suggestions, or notices.
We now put the head to the floor. Head.
Jackson. Where is safer?
Member Fitz Jackson.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you. Thank you, Minister. I have a few questions to raise here.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. There's one I want to talk to you. Thank you, Minister. A couple of questions. You indicated at the outset, Minister, about the change in the title of the ministry.
Yes.
From national security to national security and peace.
Yes.
I'd love you to elaborate on what constitutes the peace portfolio in the ministry. I was trying in perusing the estimates to see what specifically is provided for on the peace and whose responsibility that is within the ministry, where the executing in the ministry for the peace portfolio. And I asked that question against the background, Minister, with a broader picture. All of us in this house and all well-thinking Jamaica welcome the murder reductions and the shootings in the country. That is what we all have been clamoring for some time. And to the extent that we get some increase, it's welcome. It is what we wanted. But I've said elsewhere, and I say it again here, Minister, reduction in murders, shootings, though welcome, does not by itself constitute security. And that's where the whole element of peace comes in. And I want to get a sense of what is the nexus between reduction in crime, reduction in murders, reduction in shootings, and a sense of security. Again, I've said it. We want murders to go down, but we also want the people in the country to go about their normal business with a sense of security, of safety, that their lives are not threatened. So if you could give us a sense of that. And I say that's where peace ties in to that whole reduction of murders. Was one, Minister, while where's that welcome significant reduction, no understating the the extent of the reduction. But there has been a corresponding increase in police fatalities over the period. High numbers of persons have been murdered, have been killed, whichever description you want to attach, but life lost. And it will be insincere. Mr. Chairman, could you advise those newly elected members of the Rules Governing the House before they begin to speak?
Member Jackson, stick to your questions.
Thank you.
Allow the member.
And I will say this to you. Please, if you break off into the side talk, then you're going to lose a privilege.
Mr. Chairman, with all due respect,
Chairman,
when they are disrupting me, you're not reprimanding them. Now I'll resume.
If I may, Chairman, remind the member to address the chair. They are the member, the minister.
So, Mr. Chairman, through you to the minister, the concern that the public has, I'm not speaking on my own behalf, there's a significant increase in fatalities by the police. That's a matter of record. That's not an opinion. And it is of concern. And I would like, and the country would like, for that to be addressed in a manner that they feel satisfied. And when we raise these concerns as opposition in this parliament, it's not about us as opposition, it's on behalf of the country at large. And it ought not to be dismissed. That said, Mr. Chairman, I have some specific questions that I would like to get from the JCF.
Answer those first.
Yes. Thanks.
Thank you, Member Jackson. Number of things we'll answer. First, the peace dividend really, the reduction in murder is a significant part of the peace because the rate at which murder was proceeding in Jamaica, about 4,500,000. About 4,400,000. Remember, the United Nations defined 3,400,000 as civil strife, civil war, literally, was the most disturbing aspect of the lack of public safety in the country. People could not gather in their usual Friday evening at the shop to play a game of domino or anywhere. They couldn't go to prayer meetings. But they had a great sense of lack of safety. With a reduction in gang violence and shootings, that was overcome and people are returned to some level of normal Jamaican evening activity. But yes, beyond that, we have significant issues in domestic violence. Only today, the report from Horace was there was a fight in the school and one child murdered, killed another one. So that issue is a big part of what we're doing. What we have had over the years is that 80% of the homicide was a result of gang violence and shootings at that point. And that's where the police work is, only the police work can deal with that, and they've done so effectively. You raise the issue of fatal murder, and I'd like to bring to the attention of the Parliament and the public two things. I've said it publicly, but let me put it much more graphically, much more clearly. We did a graph of police shootings versus fatal murders and fatal shootings. And the two things are being linked, and then there's a lot of public outcry about the suggestion and inference that the police fatal shooting could be conducted in a lawless manner. The evidence, of course, contradicts us completely, and I'm not going on by my own emotions. I didn't speak emotionally, just for the members who might think I was getting angry on radio. I would like to say to the member that a week before that, I spoke to Chief Technical Director, Mr. Simpson, to inform when he would have some vehicles to provide for the police, that I would have a platform to speak to a public. I think was emerging, where there was a loud noise by different groupings that suggested the police activity in the shootings were questionable. It is a concern because it has a number of things, Member Jackson. One, it is when you do that, you not only demoralize the police, but bear in mind that, no. All right. When you begin to do that, it not only demotivates police officers, the leadership will be strong enough, but young officers on the road, because it exposes police officers to risk. In a instance where 2 police officers were killed when the noise was that the policemen were executing criminals. That's something why INDECOM was established. And INDECOM was to take that kind of controversy out of the public space, and a strong institution exists that can investigate police behavior and fatal shooting, and let the criminal justice, the court system, decide whether it was so or not. To use veranda talk noise is wrong. It undermines the security forces, and I will not withdraw my pulpit. It should not be done. Now, statistically, Member Jackson, so it is not just a matter of emotions. And I give you both statistics. First of all, the police conducted in 2024 80,800 operations. So when INDECOM said they investigate 100, it's minimal. In addition to that, and I'll come to the number of prosecution, but we did a graphical study of fatalities versus murders. There is a mathematical formula which demonstrates a relationship. Fatal shooting and murder over the 4-year period, 2022, and you have to take a time, only shows an almost perfectly inverse relation between the 2 variables. I repeat that. There's a perfect relationship, inverse relationship, reflecting an extremely strong, what they call in mathematics, Pearson coefficient, which means inverse relation means police shooting goes up, murder come down. When you have a coefficient of 1, and when we did the graph, it's 0.99, you know that the 2 things are in fact directly related. Now, what that is saying, I'm not saying that every police shooting was legitimate or any illegitimate. What it said, police are killing murderers. And that I have to support. That's what that relationship says statistically. Not by my emotion, not by my report from Commissioner. This is a statistical, factual relation that says the fatal shooting by the police are the fatal shooting of murderers. And that must be respected. And where there are questions, they must be allowed to go to the criminal justice system. Right? And that's why I feel strongly, that members who speak on the topic must do so with a certain level of sobriety and with evidence. As fatal shooting increase, murder decrease. And this pattern occurs with remarkable consistency. The incapacitation of high-risk profile prolific offenders is the only way to reduce criminal violence. And I repeat, fatal shooting and arrest functions as a proxy indicator for the incapacitation of high-risk prolific offenders. This commissioner is not only respected, but a highly trained officer. In fact, if we had got anybody like him from outside, they would be worshipped. He's highly qualified, a Jamaican from the hills of St. Mary, and he has not only his PhD, but he did so in mathematics and computer science, and therefore his analysis of intelligence points out the prolific offenders. The police know the criminals, but not only know the criminals, they know the ones that are the key factors. It's a policy that is used not only by policing, but by international organizations fighting terrorism. Because in any gang or terrorist group, there are 2 or 3 people who are leaders. There's the leading headspaceman and the leading killer. If you can get to those, you get this thing under control. And that's the policy they've been using. And that's why fatal shooting increases, murder come down significantly. The incapacitation of those people is not just by shooting. There has been multiple arrests, which is not being publicized or recorded, in terms of removing the real serious criminals from the gangs on the street. Others have migrated, as the police is aware, We might get back some of them in the next few months, but we know them and therefore will continue to incapacitate them. Which means the police will arrest them. If they fight arrest, the police are trained and will be able to deal effectively with any combat situation. And I go to that to, you see, again, another aspect I am concerned about when we put our officers at increased risk, because they face risk, you know. They get shot at and gun is designed to kill. But we have recruited over 8,000 young Jamaicans since 2018 or joined the force. The original concept of Jamaica Conservative Force, we go back in history, is correct. It was a coercive element. The British colonials trained men to give them a lane peel rifle and a big baton to go out there and beat up anybody who thief busher property. We have gone far away from that, Mr. Member Jackson. We have some of the brightest and best minds in the police force. And we have invested to provide them an environment to be law enforcement. And bear in mind, I go back that when I refer to the colonial past, it's important because no Jamaican, especially a black Jamaican, become an officer before independence. That is only 1962. That's the last generation. What we have to do is a Jamaican police force, and we're not taking anybody from outside to train them. They are being trained by their own leadership and evolve into a very professional unit. And if I get annoyed when anybody, whether JFJ, human rights, or wannabe pastors, or somebody who feel like a platform, will want to suggest that our young men are out there killing people lawlessly. Let me give an fact, Mr. Jackson, I think you'll be interested in this now. And you are one who would have been a defender of these people not so long ago, because you regard this constituency, I think, as one of your personal contribution to that side. Unfortunately, that seems to be shifting. And I mean young, bright professionals who live in places like Portmore, live in places Spanish Town. Let me give you an example of the kind of recruits we have today in the Jamaica Conservative Force, who I think must be encouraged and protected from slander and inferences that upset them and expose them to threat. Batch 153, there are 5 prize leaders. Here's their qualification. Constable, I won't give his full name, well, you can give a last name. Powell, 13 CSEC. CSEC. Constable Rodney, Bachelor of Science in degree in Business Administration, coming from a high school with 5 CXCs, CSEC. Constable Williams, Automated Repair Level 1 and 2, 7 CSEC. Constable Christie, a Best All-Round Performance, a Bachelor's degree in Criminal Justice from the University of the West Indies. Constable McPhee, Best Leadership Qualities, Bachelor's degree in Logistics and Supply Chain Management, 6 CSEC. These are the young people who are now on the road. Any suggestion that these Jamaicans are out there to lawlessly wipe out the lives of any people in their community is abominable, unacceptable, and I will always condemn it in the strongest language possible.
All MPs are saints. All MPs are not saints.
Thank you, Minister. Any other questions?
Yes.
These are graduates.
And if there is none, we'll take the heading.
I said I have some more questions. Yes.
No, you have more questions than the other question. I have to answer this.
It's on.
Mr. Jackson, Member Jackson.
Yes. Minister, the JCF. What is the fleet complement of the JCF now?
What is the compliment?
Yeah.
We
Fleet.
see
Vehicle fleet. Vehicle fleet.
Vehicle
It
fleet.
has been a challenge for many years.
No. We seek to keep it at about 1,500 operational vehicles. I couldn't tell you that to check now.
Operational.
Yeah, because we buy vehicles every year. We replace, like right now we are getting 73 to replace those that would have been made inoperable in the last year.
Okay.
But the object is to have 1,500 operable vehicles at all time. The fleet, which means those that are marked police vehicles, that are available for operations.
Does this represent what you would sufficiently need, Minister?
Right.
Just to get a sense of where we are.
I'll get the number for you.
I don't want the location where they are not, because that is sensitive.
I'll get that for you.
And of course, Minister, and this is for the ministry, the used cars that have been outstanding for some time now remains outstanding. And it's not something that we can sweep under the carpet, because it is outstanding after 10 years. So if we could get an update on what the recovery of taxpayers' money in that regard. And Minister, I asked that against the question where I see repeat use of used vehicles in the government service. Delano, what are you saying? Bobby.
Number Jackson, yes, we are aware of the situation, and I sent it to it. It is taxpayers' money now. We have to be held accountable.
Minister Chang opened the presentation by highlighting what he called major progress in crime reduction. According to him, murders are down 43%, shootings down 32%, overall criminal activity down 17%. The government believes this shows their strategy is working. Chang argued that for years Jamaica had homicide levels close to what the United Nations considers civil conflict territory, and reducing that violence is a major achievement. He also pointed to large investments in policing and security infrastructure, including new police divisional headquarters, technology upgrades, expansion of the C5 command center system, social intervention programs in communities. His argument was simple. The data proves the approach is working. But the opposition wasn't fully convinced. When Fitz Jackson got the floor, he started by acknowledging the crime reduction. But he immediately added something important. He said reduction in murders and shootings do not automatically mean people feel safe. Jackson's point was that security isn't just about statistics. It's about whether ordinary citizens feel comfortable going about their daily lives. He also questioned the new title of the ministry, Ministry of National Security and Peace. Jackson wanted the minister to explain what the peace portfolio actually means and what programs are specifically dedicated to it. This is where the conversation became more intense. Jackson raised a sensitive issue that has been widely debated in Jamaica. While murders are going down, fatal shootings by police have increased. He said many Jamaicans are concerned about the high number of people being killed during police operations. His argument was not that criminals shouldn't be stopped, but that every loss of life must be examined carefully. This topic has been heavily discussed in Jamaica for years, especially with oversight agencies investigating police actions. Minister Chang pushed back very strongly. He argued that criticism of police shootings is unfair and damaging to officers who risk their lives daily. He presented a statistical argument. According to him, analysis shows an almost perfect inverse relationship between police shootings and murders. In simple terms, when police shootings go up, murders go down. He said that correlation coefficient was 0.99, which is extremely strong in statistical terms. Chang used this to argue that many of the people killed by police are high-risk criminals, involved in murders and gang violence. In his words, the data suggests police are removing the most dangerous offenders from the streets. Chang also became very passionate when defending officers. He rejected the idea that the Jamaican Constabulary Force is acting lawlessly. Instead, he said the police today are highly educated and professionally trained. He even listed qualifications from recent recruits, pointing out that many have university degrees, professional certifications, specialized training. His message was clear. These officers are not rogue enforcers, but trained professionals protecting the country. This exchange actually reflects a bigger national debate. These are two major perspectives in Jamaica. Government view. Strong policing is necessary to break gang violence and reduce murders. Critics view. Crime fighting must still respect accountability and human rights. Balancing those two priorities is one of the biggest challenges in modern law enforcement. Jackson also asked practical questions about the police force. For example, how many operational vehicles does the Jamaica Constabulary Force have? Is the fleet sufficient for policing the country? The minister said the goal is to maintain about 1,500 operational vehicles, though some are always being replaced due to wear and operational damage. Jackson also brought up concerns about government spending on used vehicles, saying the issue has been unresolved for years. This debate is part of Jamaica's annual budget discussions, where ministries defend how taxpayer money is being spent. Security remains one of the largest and most sensitive areas of government spending. The ministry's budget for the upcoming fiscal year is about 126.5 billion Jamaican dollars, covering policing, corrections, forensic services, anti-corruption investigations, community security programs. With crime being such a central issue in Jamaican politics, debates like this one often become heated. This exchange between Horace Chang and Fitz Jackson highlights two major realities in Jamaica's crime fight. Crime statistics may be improving, but questions about policing methods and accountability remain. The government says the strategy is saving lives. Critics say security must also come with transparency and trust. And that debate is far from over.